Alright. Algebra 2, 6.1 Roots and Radical Expressions. Objective, students will find the nth root. Index. On your notes you'll have to fill this out. Index is the number in front of the square root. Radicand is the number inside of the square root. If a to the n equals b, with a and b real numbers and n a positive integer, then a is an nth root of b. If n is odd, there is one real nth root of b, denoted in the radical form as n root of b. The only nth root of 0 is 0. If n is even and b is odd, there are two real nth roots of b. The positive root is the principal root or principal nth root, and its symbol is NB. And b is negative. There are no real solutions of this. This is when it's even. If it is an odd number in front of your square root, then it can still be a real root. Alright, what are the real fifth roots of 0? Okay, so it's going to look like this. The fifth root of 0. Well, what is the square root of 0? What is the cube root of 0? When it is 0, it is always going to be 0, and that's what that last slide told us. Alright, we have fifth root of -1. This is an odd one. We said with an even, if it is a negative number in here, we cannot have a solution. But this is an odd, so we can. You can take -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 times -1 to get this. When you do that, you should get, when you take the nth root of it, you should get -1. Alright, what about 32? Well, you can type this, the fifth root of 32, you can type this in your calculator. There's a couple different ways, depending on what your calculator is. The other thing is, we need a group of 5. So I'm going to start just breaking this down. We got 2 and 16, 2 and 8, 2 and 4, and 2 and 2. Alright, a group of 5 would be all of these. So we have, now this is equivalent to 5, or the square, our nth root of, our fifth root of 2 to the 5th. Well, this and this will cancel out, just leaving us 2. There is your answer. Alright, what are the real roots of 0.01? So we would take square root of 0.01. Maybe you type that in your calculator. Maybe you know that 0.1 times 0.1 equals 0.01. So the square root of this is going to be 0.1. Alright, we have the nth root, or the square root of -1. This would technically be a 2. When this is a 2, this cannot be negative. We know this is actually technically I, but it says real roots. So there is no real roots. Okay? Now we have 36 over 121. We're taking the square root of each one of these. We're going to get 6 and we get 11. There's our answer. Alright, once again, finding the roots. First thing I need to do when I look at A is, can I do that? Well, this is an odd, this is negative, yes, that does work. We have to figure out what works out of here, so we could have -3 and 9, which would also be -3 and -3. There's a group of -3s, 3 of them, which means this is -3. Can we do this one? We have 4, the fourth root of -3. negative 81. Well, this is even, this is negative. That cannot happen. No real roots. Okay, here we have this. I am going to do what's inside because this is like having parentheses around this. So I'm going to get the square root of 49, which is 7. So that is, yes, this square root of 49 is 7. We just proved that. Alright, for the nth root of nth powers, for any real number a, the nth root of a of n is odd. So whenever it is odd, your a will be whatever it comes out to be. When it is even, when n is even, a is got to be absolute value. So it's always got to be a positive number. Alright. Now, on these, I typically sometimes break these down. Alright, so sometimes I go the square root of 81 and the square root of x to the 4th. Well, this we know is 9. This can also be wrote as a fraction of 4 over 2. Well, if we reduce our fraction, we're going to end up with 9x to the 2nd. That is our answer. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to have a, and that's going to be 12 over 3. And I'm going to have b, which is 15 over 3. And we are going to, when we divide, we get a to the 4th, b to the 5th. Alright. Now, once again, we're going to run it again. We have 12. That's the number you, like, to the power is what is always going to be on the top. To the square root, or the 5th root, or nth root, is always going to be on the bottom. So here we're going to put 4. We have y, which is 16 over 4. We get n to the 3rd, y to the 4th. Alright. Some teachers adjust test scores when a test is difficult. One teacher's formula for adjusting tests is a equals 10 square root 6, or 10 or square root r, where a is the adjusted score and r is the raw score. If the raw score on one test ranges from a 36 to a 90, what is the range of the adjusted scores? Well, we would have our a equals 10, the square root of 36 is what we're going to put in first. That is going to be 6. 10 times 6 is 60. So, now we got bumped up to a 60. We have a equals, alright, we have 10 square root 90. When we multiply this together, I believe we get about a 90, what is it, 94 point something? I think it's a 94.68 or something like that. Without double checking myself, let me get my calculator. Alright, we have I was off a touch. This should be 87. So that is about a 95%. So that was his adjustment. There is your homework.